When someone says Porsche, most people picture a screaming 911 flying around a racetrack or a $1 million Carrera GT. But what if I told you that one of the rarest Porsches ever built had absolutely nothing to do with racing? It didn't chase Ferraris. It didn't break speed records. It didn't even drive on highways. This incredible machine looked more like a tiny orange submarine than a tractor. Its body was completely enclosed. Its wheels were hidden. And despite wearing the Porsche name, it wasn't built for rich collectors. It was built for farmers. Today we're exploring one of the strangest vehicles ever created by Ferdinand Porsche's engineering team, the 1954 Porsche P312 Coffee Plantation Tractor. And by the end of this video, you'll understand why collectors around the world are willing to spend years searching Brazil just to find one. Porsche didn't just build sports cars. Long before Porsche became famous for the 356 and later the legendary 911, Ferdinand Porsche believed engineering should improve everyday life. During the 1930s and 1940s, he wasn't only designing racing cars, he was also fascinated by agriculture. Europe desperately needed modern farming equipment. Farmers wanted reliable machines that were simple to repair, fuel-efficient, and powerful enough for difficult terrain. Although World War II delayed production, Porsche's tractor concept survived. After the war, German manufacturer Allgäuer obtained the rights to build tractors based on Porsche engineering. These machines quickly became successful throughout Europe. But then an opportunity had thousands of problems. A tractor that could slip between the rows almost without touching the plants. And they brought this challenge to Porsche engineers. Instead of modifying an existing machine, Porsche decided to create something entirely new. Why does it look like a tiny spaceship? The first thing everyone notices is the body. Even today it looks futuristic. Many people compare it to a miniature locomotive. Others think it resembles a submarine. Some even say it looks like an early rocket. But every curve had a purpose. The smooth, rounded body wasn't designed for speed. It was designed to protect coffee trees. Normally, tractors have exposed wheels, sharp fenders, protruding headlights and metal corners. Those parts easily snag branches. The Porsche P312 eliminated almost every sharp edge. Its front was completely rounded. The rear wheels disappeared behind smooth body panels. Even the mudguards blended into the bodywork. As the tractor brushed against branches, they simply slid over the metal instead of braking. It was one of the earliest examples of agricultural equipment being designed around the crop instead of the driver. Workers needed to spot machinery quickly among dense green vegetation. Bright orange stood out against the leaves. It also reflected less heat than darker colors. The result became one of the most recognizable agricultural machines ever built. Ironically, decades later, this unusual color became one of the reasons collectors instantly recognized the P312. The only gasoline Porsche tractor. Here's another surprise. Nearly every Porsche tractor used diesel engines. But not this one. Brazilian coffee growers worried that diesel exhaust and fuel odor might affect delicate coffee plants and freshly harvested beans. Whether that concern was scientifically justified is still debated. But Porsche listened to the customer. Instead of diesel, engineers installed a two-cylinder air-cooled gasoline engine producing around 30 horsepower from 1.8 liters of displacement. Power was delivered through a 5-speed manual transmission, giving the tractor enough torque to climb plantation hills while remaining compact and reliable. Don't let its tiny size fool you. The P312 wasn't just a funny-looking tractor. It was packed with clever engineering. The narrow track measured only about 835 millimeters. Overall width was roughly 1.09 meters. That allowed it to pass between tightly planted coffee rows where ordinary tractors simply couldn't fit. Ground clearance was generous. Portal axlers helped the tractor travel over uneven plantation terrain. Hydraulic 3-point linkage allowed it to operate specialized equipment. One of the most important tools was a rotary cultivator built specifically for Brazilian plantations. Instead of simply pulling equipment behind it, the P312s could actively cultivate soil between rows without harming the trees. This combination made the machine extremely efficient despite its modest power output. Despite its brilliant engineering, the Porsche P312 was never intended for mass production. It was a highly specialized machine built for one very specific purpose: working in Brazilian coffee plantations. Unlike standard farm tractors that could be sold almost anywhere in the world, the P312 had a very limited market. Only coffee-growing regions with narrow rows of trees could truly benefit from its unusual design. Production began in 1954, and historians generally estimate that only around 220 to 300 units were built. Nearly all of them were exported directly to Brazil, where they spent decades working in remote plantations rather than being displayed at dealerships or agricultural exhibitions. Unlike classic sports cars that were polished every weekend and stored in garages, the P312 lived a very different life. These tractors worked long days under the hot Brazilian sun. They climbed muddy hills after heavy rains. They pushed through thick vegetation. Dust, humidity, insects, and rough terrain became part of their everyday existence. Most plantation owners weren't thinking about preserving a future collector's item. To them, it was just a tool. When parts wore out, they improvised repairs using whatever was available. Original Porsche components were difficult to obtain, so engines were sometimes repaired with locally made parts. Body panels were welded, patched, or even replaced with homemade metal pieces. Many tractors eventually became too expensive to repair. Instead of restoring them, farmers simply parked them behind barns, where nature slowly reclaimed them. It wasn't unusual for collectors to drive hundreds of miles through rural farming regions after hearing rumors that an old orange Porsche tractor was sitting behind a warehouse or hidden inside an abandoned shed. Some discoveries were almost unbelievable. A few tractors had been sitting untouched for over 30 years. Restoring a P312 is nothing like restoring a Porsche 356 or a classic 911. Replacement parts simply aren't sitting on warehouse shelves. Many original components no longer exist. Collectors often spend years searching for the correct headlights, steering wheels, gauges, hydraulic parts, or body panels. Even finding the proper engine components can be a challenge. The tractor's distinctive rounded body is especially difficult to restore. Unlike flat tractor panels, the P312 features smooth curved metal sections that require highly skilled craftsmen to recreate accurately. Every restoration becomes a labor of passion rather than profit. Some restorers invest thousands of hours carefully rebuilding each component to factory specifications. If you enjoyed discovering this forgotten piece of Porsche history, don't forget to like, subscribe, and turn on notifications. We uncover the world's rarest trucks, tractors, vans, and forgotten machines. Stories you won't find in ordinary automotive documentaries.